Marcelle, and I'm here today on behalf of Astromatrix to talk to you about the full moon that is happening in Leo on the 28th of this month, January. And so we're going to be exploring some of the themes that are playing up this month, as well as the full moon, explaining and exploring why January has been such an intense month so far. And then to follow after that, we're going to do a tarot reading, exploring a few themes that relate to the full moon on behalf of the collective. So before I get started, I'd like to ask, please, if you enjoy our content, to like and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so that you get all of our updates. Right, so let's dive into it. So we have already had all of these transits happening, but I just need to mention some of the build-ups that have been happening this month leading to the full moon. So on the 10th of January, we had Eris, which was in Aries, moving, stationing direct. And then on the 14th, we had Uranus in Taurus, stationing direct. So both of these are very revolutionary planets fighting for some kind of freedom. And when both of them station direct, because they're quite slow-moving planets, very slow-moving planets, it takes a while before they move direct. So this really amplifies the impact of these planets starting to move forward, largely exploring the themes of freedom and power to the people, and independence. So this kind of starts to reiterate the theme that will be playing out this month, alongside other themes that we will be exploring. So then on the 17th, we have Jupiter coming into a square with Aquarius. And if Jupiter is all about expansion and Aquarius is all about freedom and shock and change, then of course Jupiter, there's this tension between expansion and this shock, and this tension and this change and this need for freedom, and so Jupiter tends to amplify that, and so alongside this Eris that is moving forward, it really amplifies this need for change, but the shock and the disruptions that come with that being amplified. And so then on the 20th, we have Uranus coming into this exact conjunction with Mars. So it needs to be mentioned that on the 6th of January, Mars did leave Aries, where it had been for the last 6 months, and entered into Taurus. So now that Mars is in Taurus and it's coming into this exact conjunction with Uranus, it's really highlighting the need for change, because Uranus is the disruptor. It's shocking. It wants freedom, and so with Mars over there in Taurus, it's shaking up wherever it is that we're stuck with regards to freedom and change. And it is an intense experience, especially because it comes into a square with Jupiter and Saturn and the Sun in Aquarius, in a stellium. So remember, Jupiter and Saturn moved into Aquarius on the 21st of December, and so now that we have the Sun, Jupiter, and Saturn in a square to Aquarius, in a conjunction with Aries, again those themes of freedom and liberation and shock, it's all being highlighted, and this square with all these Aquarian energies, which is very much about the higher mind, and it very much relates to the new, in a square to this Uranus in Taurus, which is about what is fixed and what is from the past, what is familiar. So Uranus, it's doing its work there, trying to shake that up, but then it's also coming into the square with all these Aquarius energies, which is also rooting for moving forward towards the new. So yeah, it's very much a theme of needing to break down before we can break through. So then as we progress forward, we have the sun coming into a square to Uranus on the 26th. So it's with that stellium in Aquarius, it's not quite in a square just yet, but it's starting to boil and brew up, and so it comes into an exact square on the 26th. And this is the start of these disclosures and truths that are starting to come through, because as it progresses on the 28th, we have our full moon in Leo at 9 degrees. And so it's very, very useful for you to look at your chart and see where 9 degrees of Leo lies. So full moon is a period of culmination. It's a time of culmination, things coming to light, truths being revealed. The moon is at its fullest, it's at its brightest, so it shines its light. And of course, it's a period of closure and completion. So the moon in Leo represents the heart. It is about leadership, and it's about creativity. And so because we have the full moon, it always means that there's an opposition to the sun, the moon and the sun in opposition. And of course, the sun is in Aquarius in that conjunction with Uranus, with Mercury, as well as Jupiter and Saturn. So we've got that stellium happening there. So it's not quite with Mercury. Mercury's just a little bit further. So we won't include Mercury in the equation, but definitely the Aquarius sun and Jupiter and Saturn. So again, Aquarius ruling the higher mind, and it very much rooting for freedom and liberation and moving forward towards the new, breaking away from the old order, from the repressive powers that we've been, the top-down heavy powers that we've been experiencing all of 2020. It's very much, as I mentioned, to do with the higher mind, but it's very much to do with the mind. There's so much air there. And so Leo, being all about the heart, with this full moon, it's a reminder to come back to the heart and to creatively come back to, or to acknowledge a sense of responsibility, a choice in every moment with how it is that we're responding to all these intensities playing up at the moment on the planet. And so alongside this opposition with the sun and the moon, and the sun in a stellium to Jupiter and Saturn, we actually have a T-square with Jupiter and Saturn and the sun in a square to Uranus, Black Moon Lilith, and Mars. So this is a very combustible energy potentially, because we've got that dynamic of the disruption and the chaos that's been shaken up between the fixedness, wanting to hold on to the old structures of Taurus, what is familiar, what is safe, what brings security, and then Uranus there attempting to shake it up. As well as Mars there with Uranus, creating an even more volatile combination. Mars is very much about the people, but then we also have Pluto, which is in a square to Eris. Eris once again is about the disruption of the people, the revolutionary standing up against Pluto, still in Capricorn, the top-down heavy powers, which is going to be a theme playing out until 2024, when Pluto leaves and moves into Aquarius. So we really are starting to move into this theme of Aquarian energy, which is very much about, as I said, the higher mind, but it's also about innovation and new innovative ideas. It's forward thinking, it's moving towards the future. It also has a lot to do with operating more horizontally as opposed to top down, where the minority have all the money and the power versus the rest that don't. So it's finding more equality or more balance on the planet, which obviously needs to go through its disillusionment, its breakdown, its destruction first before it can find a healthier new beginning. So so while this is all playing out, to add to the mix, on the same day we also have the transiting nodal axis in a square to Neptune. So the transiting nodal axis is the north node and the south node, And the North Node is where we're needing to evolve to. The South Node is where we're coming from, what is familiar. The South Node being in Sagittarius. Sagittarius has a lot to do with the law, and so it's a lot to do with the law. Uranus also has to do with medicine. So there's a lot of themes of things from the past that we're needing to move away from towards a new structure. But of course, there's an immense amount of confusion with Neptune in those squares. What is real? What isn't real? So there's so much information floating around on the planet at the moment, and we don't know what's real or what to hold on to. So Neptune on the unhealthy end of the spectrum is about confusion, disillusionment. But if we can work with that Leo full moon and really access the heart space creatively, where it's about some kind of responsibility towards a bigger picture, really becoming aware of how it is that we engage everything that's playing out at the moment, how it is that we stay in the center as opposed to getting swept away by the potential volatility and confusion that is playing out at the moment, because inevitably it is all going to pass. We're just in the thick of it at the moment. So with Neptune, you can choose to stay centered and in the center and not get caught up in the confusion. And through this process, there is some kind of potential awakening that can happen, which represents the healthier end of the spectrum of Neptune. And Neptune is about clarity, enlightenment, spiritual truth. And so there are spiritual truths here for us to access as much as we can stay present to everything that is happening, and as much as that we can keep coming back to a heart-centered space where we're choosing to engage our realities with creative power and a sense of responsibility for that bigger picture. So yes, lots of disclosures happening around this month, especially with the inauguration happened on the 20th of January. Lots of shocking truths being revealed, lots of turbulence, turmoil, shaking up in the communities, in the countries, and a lot of fear and confusion around what's going on. So there really is a need now more than ever to keep coming back to the heart and staying centered and choosing a more responsible response to our realities that are playing out. So lastly, what I'd like to do now that we've gone through what this full moon is about is to pick a few cards on behalf of the collective that explore what this full moon in Leo represents for all of us. And if this is something that interests you, you can head over to the Astromatrix app and pick the cards for yourself to see what it means for you specifically. But right now, this is on behalf of the collective. So this is on behalf of the collective, and it's a full moon in Leo reading. And the theme for the reading today is Page of Wands. Okay, so I will pick the cards and then I'll explain what everything means. All right, so the first question is, where am I needing more heart around this full moon? Okay. Where am I needing to shift my perception? What is asking for responsibility in my life? What am I needing to move away from during this full moon? What am I needing to complete? Okay. All right. So we have so much, so many cups coming up, and cups represent the heart, the emotions, sensitivity, vulnerability, and so. It's quite beautiful. I don't normally get so many cups, but it feels like, and then our other card is the Temperance card, which is about finding balance. So it's really about starting to connect more to the heart and finding balance within the heart. So generally Leo is a fire sign, whereas these are all water elements. But it is to do with the heart. They both connect to the heart. So we're exploring the emotions. So the first question was, where am I needing more heart? And we have the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups rules the emotions, and it's a very feminine quality, a very feminine energy. So where am I needing more heart? I'm needing to explore what my emotions mean for me, to really start opening myself up to my emotions, to really start allowing my emotions, so that I can start understanding what they mean for me, to allow myself to start feeling them, so I can start dissolving old emotions that have been stuck and dormant, and to really start opening my heart up to a higher expression through allowing my emotions in, and through this process allowing a maturity to happen. And so this is, because it's the feminine, the Queen of Cups being about the feminine aspect of the emotions, it means it's about, we also have the Hermit card over here, it means it's also about allowing yourself the space and the time to process this. Allowing yourself the spaciousness to process this. It's not a state of action, it's not a state of doing, it's a state of allowing. And through the allowing, we can open ourselves up to that, and we can mature with that as we start to understand more about what our heart's needs are and what our emotions are about. And obviously, it's not an overnight thing. This full moon takes place over a period of time, which allows us to start working with it and understanding these themes. So the next question is, where am I needing to shift my perception? And we have the Ace of Cups. And the Ace of Cups is a very beautiful and powerful card to receive. It's the highest card of love in the deck, as far as I'm concerned. And it has to do with new emotional beginnings, but also new emotional spiritual truths and new emotional heart connection. So again, this theme of connecting to love, connecting to the heart, new beginnings around that. And this is where we're needing to shift our perception. So it's exploring wherever it is in our reality that we do not bring our hearts to the situation. It's through the Queen of Cups, starting to develop the maturity to be able to meet every single situation that can potentially be conflicting from a new perspective, from a new beginning that has to do with heart, as opposed to the old methods of dealing with things. So we really are just looking at these cards, being called to start working with what it means to move into the heart, to choose responsibly how it is that we deal with things, whereas in the past we would have done differently, perhaps coming more from the mind or from a place of attack, or from a stance of needing to be right from the ego. So it's moving away from the ego and more into the heart. And this is something new that's coming in. So the next card is, what is asking for responsibility? And the Temperance card is about finding balance, bringing balance back into our lives. It's the balance between the head and the heart. It's the balance between ourselves and others, our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with others, and it's a balance between our relationship with ourselves as well as with the earth and all its resources. So to bring more responsibility to balancing out the head and the heart, where the head is not dominating all the time, but because we're doing this work with the Ace of Cups and the Queen of Cups, this will allow us a new responsibility around how it is that we respond to our environments, where we have a choice to bring balance to every single situation from a heart-centered space. And this is the Leo responsibility, sense of creative responsibility. And so the last card is, what am I needing to move away from? And the Eight of Cups is about walking away from things that no longer serve us. So things that we know are not good for us, or lower our vibration, or create conflict in our lives, or create tension in our lives. These are old patterns that we've been playing out all our lives. It's choosing to walk away from that. And again, it's a cup card. It's ruled by a cup, by the emotions. It's ruled by water, and the moon is a water. It rules the feminine. It rules the water. So, in that sense, it's embracing the emotions and choosing to walk away from things that no longer serve you in order to start embracing a new way of being with regards to all the decisions that you make. So the theme of the reading is the Page of Wands, and the Page of Wands is it's quite beautiful because and we also have the Hermit card over here. So I feel like it's a new direction that we're moving into. It's a new spark of something that is happening for all of us, something that's starting to cultivate within ourselves. It's the Hermit. It's still very private. It's very internal. It's for us specifically that we're going through within ourselves. We need to spend time alone to cultivate this and acknowledge it and work with it and understand it. And through that process, there's this new spark that starts happening, and it becomes infectious, and it has the potential to affect all of us. So yeah, that feels really, really beautiful. And again, if you did enjoy that, please like and subscribe to our channel. And please feel free to leave your comments. We always love to hear what you have to say, whatever they may be. So again, I encourage you to check out your chart and see where 9 degrees of Leo lies in order to understand what area of your life will be impacted during this full moon and moving onwards. So thank you for watching, and bye for now.